Hello and welcome back to the series where I rank all of Ash's battles, and today I'm finally continuing the series with Ash's Sinnoh League battles. I did a poll and it seems like a lot of you guys wanted me to finish off the leagues in this series, so I appreciate all the support and I hope you enjoy. Be sure to like the video if you want to see Ash's Univer League battles rank. In last place is Ash's second round battle. I didn't know whether to include this or not, but Snorlax used Body Slam to defeat a Grumpig that advances Ash from the second round to the third. Not really much of this battle is seen, so I can't say much else. Coming in fourth place is Ash versus Nando. I really like the fact that Ash opened his Sinnoh League up against Nando, one of his first rivals that he met on his Sinnoh journey, who is also Dawn's rival. I just really liked his character in general, and this battle was a really solid one. Ash leads with his Staraptor while Nando brings out his Roserade, a good matchup for Ash, and Ash manages to get the final blow using Brave Bird, but it doesn't take long before Staraptor gets knocked out by Nando's Armado with a very nice Protect and Rock Blast combo. The battle started very back and forth and I liked it. Next up was Ash's newly evolved Quilava, and I was so hyped to see this boy back in action, but unfortunately it didn't do that much. Armado used X Scissor and Quilava's used Aerial Ace, and it was a double knockout with barely any battle time. The final matchup was Kricketune versus Heracross, and this was an awesome battle. Ash bringing back Heracross for some very well deserved action, but Nando was no pushover. He had a lot of countermeasures, firstly by putting Heracross to sleep, but then it was revealed that Ash had taught Heracross Sleep Talk, which was an awesome counter for Nando. After Heracross woke up, it was down to a head-to-head battle of pure strength, and Nando was a little out of his comfort zone, so he tried to guide things back into his strategy by using Sing, but Ash didn't let him control the battle. Ash quickly had Heracross use Mega Horn to dig into the ground, and then Horn Attack to rip up the ground where Kricketune stood, finishing it off and winning Ash the battle. The battle was solid. The battle between Quilava and Armado was a bit of a letdown, but it was more than made up for by Heracross coming in with some new tricks. Ash really dominated this battle. He didn't let Nando take control of it, and it was a great way to open up the Sinnoh League. Number 3 is Ash versus Tobias. So this battle is hated for the fact that Tobias was a plot device with his Darkrai and Latios, which I agree with. However, I don't hate the battle at all. So you're telling me you get to see Ash take on Darkrai and a Latios using a mashup of 6 Pokemon from all of his previous journeys, and you hate it? This battle was epic. Ash was never going to win the Sinnoh League. Pull was always his final goal in Sinnoh. I would much rather see a battle like this than a random character of the tournament trainer like Ash had in the last 2 leagues, like Harrison and Tyson. So I get some of the hate for this battle is warranted, but come on, it's a freaking Darkrai and Latios. Ash leads with Heracross against Darkrai, and despite knowing Sleep Talk and landing a hit on Darkrai, Darkrai knows Dream Eater, which was a perfect counter for a sleeping Heracross, and it finishes it off. Torkoal comes in and gets hit with a Dark Pulse and is knocked out with 1 hit. Gible comes in and does a bit better. It lands a Rock Smash and tries to land a Draco Meteor, and Darkrai glides across the battlefield so smoothly and manages to dodge it, and then finishes up Gible with a Dark Pulse, leaving Ash with just 3 Pokemon left, while Tobias only has used his Darkrai. Ash brings out his Hoenn Ace Sceptile, and this was awesome to see. Tobias tried the same trick he did against Heracross, Dark Void to put Sceptile asleep and then Dream Eater, but this time Sceptile woke up and managed to land a Leaf Blade on Darkrai, knocking it out for the first time in the whole league. And I'm glad they gave this win to Sceptile. It shows just how powerful it is. Everyone wonders who his second Pokemon is, and of course it's a damn Latios. His entrance was so epic though, flying through the battlefield. Latios takes out Sceptile with Giga Impact, and that was a bit disappointing. It could have been a bit back and forth, so I have to admit some of the one-hit knockouts made this battle feel very rushed. You can tell that they put all their efforts into Ash versus Paul, and this battle was a bit of an afterthought. Ash brings out Best Bird Swallow, but unfortunately it was no match for Latios in the air, getting beaten by Luster Purge. Ash's last Pokemon is Pikachu. Tobias tells Ash he has earned his respect, and Pikachu versus Latios begins. Ash flips his hat for the only time in Sinnoh, which I love. Latios goes for Luster Purge again, and Pikachu manages to get on its back, hit it a few times with Thunderbolt, doing some massive damage. Latios ascends higher and higher and eventually shakes Pikachu off mid-air and goes for Luster Purge as it falls, but Ash quickly uses Volt Tackle to get into Latios' face and then hits it with one final Iron Tail, while taking the damage from the Luster Purge, and both Pokemon are knocked out. This was an epic end to the league and to this battle. If you forget all the one-hit KOs from before, Pikachu versus Latios, Sceptile versus Darkrai are two fantastic matchups, and I love seeing Ash take down legendaries. But as I said before, this battle was cool. I get the critics with it. It is a bit of a plot device to make Ash lose the league, but so is a random trainer. We've seen Charizard versus Blaziken, we've seen Meowth versus Pikachu. We're so used to seeing these toe-to-toe battles when it comes down to the last Pokemon. The Sinnoh League didn't care for it. They focused on Pool, and they made the decision to bring in Tobias, which I was fine with. We got some epic Pokemon returns and some great matchups from it. Overall, it was a good battle with better action than the Nando one, but not as good strategies as in the next one. Coming in second place is Ash versus Conway. Conway is one of the most competitive battlers we've seen in the anime, using so many tricks and tactics. He begins with his Shuckle, where he raises its defense and then switches its attack and defense, and Shuckle alone makes Ash swap out into all three of his Pokemon. You can tell Ash is a little thrown off by Conway's tactics here. Ash brings out Gibble, and I love this battle. Shuckle uses Gyro Ball, but instead of Gibble dodging, it bites down and catches Shuckle in its mouth. But then some quick thinking from Conway, he tells Shuckle to use Sludge Bomb inside Gibble's mouth, since it can go back into its shell and then appear on the other side. But then Ash tells Gibble to use Draco Meteor, unsure whether it will work or not, as Gibble hasn't quite mastered it yet. But it comes off, Shuckle is shot up into the air and knocked out. This was such an awesome opening to the battle. Licky Licky comes in with its giant tongue. Gibble was struggling, so Ash brought out his Noctowl as it wouldn't be reached by its tongue, which was a great choice, and from there it was easy, hitting it with Air Slash and then extra sensory combo to knock it out, leaving Conway with just one Pokemon against Ash's 3, so Ash had a massive advantage, so you'd think. Conway brought in Dusknoir and he used Trick Room straight away, again showing why he's the most competitive player in the anime. Dusknoir, now faster than Noctowl, quickly finishes it with one Thunder Punch, and it gets even worse. Donphan is hit with a Shadow Punch and then a Mean Look, so it can't swap out. Conway is truly all over Ash's game plan at this point, and then it was an easy Shadow Punch to finish Donphan off, leaving Ash with just Gibble. Dusknoir still quicker with the Trick Room up. Conway tells it to use Shadow Punch against Gibble, but once again we see why Gibble is awesome. It turns and bites the Shadow Punch, and same as before, it points upwards and uses Draco Meteor, but it wasn't enough to knock it out. Despite being hit with one more Shadow Punch, Gibble still manages to land his Dragon Pulse while falling backwards, and it was an awesome last move to seal Ash the win. This battle was incredible, so much strategy, so many unique moves that we're not used to seeing, and I just loved it. I feel it doesn't get talked about enough. Overall, it was one of the best battles in the whole Sinnoh League. So coming in first place is Ash versus Paul. We all know about this famous battle, and we all know that it was always going to be number one on this list. There's a lot to talk about from this battle, the final 6-on-6 between two of the best rivals we've ever seen in Pokemon. It was a fantastic battle. So this battle is broken up into 3 whole episodes, which is the first battle to do this in the anime. Paul leads with an Aggron while Ash leads with Pikachu, but quickly swaps into Infernape, who manages to land some burn damage on Aggron before finishing it off with Mach Punch, showing Paul right off the bat just how strong his old Pokemon has become. Paul brings out Gastrodon while Ash swaps into Staraptor, and Paul noticed straight away that Ash is bringing out the Pokemon in the exact same order that he did in their battle at Lake Acuity. Ash wants redemption for his Pokemon that lost on that day, and he wants to prove to Paul that they've gotten stronger. Gastrodon uses Muddy Water, but he uses it as a counter shield, which he learnt from Ash, and Ash gets pretty thrown off by this. Paul using his own move against him, that shows that there's some respect there from Paul. Gastrodon body slams Staraptor and gets on top of it, and then Paul does a very smart play by having Gastrodon use Water Pulse up into the sky, and he waits for it to fall down at the last minute so Gastrodon can move off of Staraptor and let it get hit by it. But Ash uses his head, uses close combat to gnaw his way out of the body slam, but then Staraptor gets hit by an Ice Beam, so Ash calls it back. This was a nice little play-by-play with both Ash and Paul really trying to outplay each other, another example of why this battle is so damn good. Weasel comes back in and makes a quick work of Gastrodon using Ice Aqua Jet that we've seen in the past, and then finishing it off with an Ice Punch, leaving Paul down by 2 Pokemon. The first episode ends off with Paul bringing out Drapion, and its tail is giving Ash some serious problems, Ash tried to play it smart with an Aqua Jet counter shield and then a quick Sonic Boom, but Drapion saw Weasel from behind and grabbed it with its tail. And again, this battle is so good, so back and forth. Ash tells Weasel to inflate its neck ring to create an opening and then hit Drapion with a water gun, and then Paul, with a very nice move, uses toxic spikes before Weasel hits the floor. So Weasel gets hit with the poison and then Drapion finishes it up with a quick pin missile. But not only that, Weasel has taken out, Paul has also gained the advantage of having toxic spikes in play. So as soon as Ash's Pokemon come out, they'll all get hit with the poison. This being the moment where Paul really starts to turn things back in his favour. Staraptor comes back in, already weakened by the Ice Beam from earlier, and Drapion makes quick work using a cross poison and then grabbing it with its tail, throwing it down to get hit by the toxic spikes. Paul's strategy really is shining through at that moment. In comes Torterra and it doesn't last long. Drapion just floods pin missiles and poison attacks at it. Ash tries to overpower it with moves like Rock Climb and Leaf Storm, but it just wasn't enough. In the end it goes down to a pin missile pretty easily, leaving Ash with just 3 Pokemon left, and Drapion with 3 wins in a row, really Paul's MVP for this whole battle. Paul brings out his speedy Ninjask and Ash uses Gliscor, but he couldn't do much against Ninjask, so Ash brings out Infernape, and then a massive brain play from Ash here as he has Infernape dig under the battlefield and then use Flare Blitz to get rid of Paul's toxic spikes. A great move from Ash. And from there it's an easy match, 1 punch to take out Ninjask in 1 shot, evening things up to 3 apiece. Paul brings in Frostlass, who makes use of his hail and ability Snowcloak. There wasn't enough to take on Pikachu as Pikachu overpowered it and broke free of the ice to land a Volt Tackle to finish it off. Paul once again trying to control the weather and the battlefield after the toxic spikes got removed. Next up we have another battle between Gliscor and Drapion, while Ash trying to use everything Gliscor learned from its training. This battle leads to the 3rd episode. It was a battle of strength and Gliscor came out on top, managing to dodge Paul's attacks and then land a Fire Fang on Drapion, also burning it and finishing it off, leaving Paul with just 1 Pokemon left while Ash still has 3. Ash really had the advantage now at this point. He completely turned the tables. Paul brings in his final Pokemon, his ace Electivire, and Ash chooses to keep Gliscor out. Paul once again uses the battlefield in a unique way, just like Ash did earlier, this time using electric on it to shoot the rocks up into the air and make them land on Gliscor. After that it was just an easy brick break to finish it off. Pikachu comes in for Ash, and I love this battle. Electivire's ability is Motor Drive, so Ash can't hit it with any electric attacks, so all he's got is Quick Attack and Iron Tail. He manages to land a Quick Attack and then he goes in close for the Iron Tail, and Paul draws the parallel with the first time they ever battled, showing that Ash still hasn't learned to overcome this individual matchup. Pikachu is still stuck with Iron Tail while Electivire has its left arm free to finish Pikachu off with Brick Break. Such a fantastic matchup, which leaves Ash with his final Pokemon, Infernape. And this was just a head-to-head power clash, blow for blow, and Infernape took a lot of damage here, with Ash getting caught in the same trap, going for Mach Punch, but Electivire grabs its arm and stops it, and then it hits it with Thunder to knock it down. Paul calls Infernape pathetic, and Infernape finally takes a stand against Paul, proved to him that he has grown a lot under Ash, way more than he ever could under Paul. It gets up and its Blaze ability activates, the flames come pouring out, and it's such a fantastic moment. Infernape is so much stronger now, every attack he uses you can see how powerful it's gotten, and then the final clash, a Thunder Punch versus a Flare Blitz, and Infernape comes out on top and defeats Electivire, and Paul has finally been beaten. This battle is my favourite in the Pokemon anime of all time. Every single matchup mattered, every single move was important. It was such a well calculated battle from both trainers. The strategies they used to one-up each other were just incredible, and in my opinion we haven't seen anything like this since. The Kukui battle was awesome in its own way, and once I get to the Alola League rewatch I'm going to compare the two, but I'm sure this one will always remain as my favourite. There's so much behind this rivalry, and this battle was the peak of Pokemon anime and always will be. So that's it for the Sinnoh League battles. This was a long one. I really wanted to go into detail into these battles, especially Ash and Paul, because this is one of the best leagues, so many good strategies in place, especially in the Conway and Paul battles, and I just love this league and everything about it. So let me know your thoughts, give me your rankings in the comments. There's only 5 battles to go through, but thank you for watching. Please like the video if you want to see Ash's Unova League battles ranked, and I'll see you next time.